And now the Muslims are in danger of being discriminated as a community, and the methods of doing that I don't think are compatible with the self-image of America as a state which is under the rule of law. Secret evidence is being applied, which is something that has never existed in any other country in the world. Computerized scanning is now being applied if you happen to be Arab speaking, studying natural sciences, if you don't go too often to the mosque, and if you are very law-abiding, in that case, you are a top suspect. Because to be law-abiding means you might be a sleeper. Not to be a very active Muslim might mean you're simply pretending not to be a good Muslim. You see the absurdity of this generalized suspicion if it is being put into practice. Thank God, 2 German courts already interfered and forbid German administrations to use that method, saying that without one single element of real suspicion, you cannot create an assembly of other elements and call this a suspicious conglomeration of elements. Another thing which we observed happening is that now patience with the otherness of the Muslim minorities seems to be running out. Until quite recently, it was almost politically correct, or it was highly politically correct, to talk in terms of a multicultural society. America has always been multicultural. Europe has not been. So it was even more amazing that the Europeans would come up with that high ideal of a multicultural society. Since September 11, the word multiculti has become a dirty word, and it's no longer used. You can go through newspapers, edition after edition, that word has disappeared. In other words, what is now requested of the Muslim minorities in the Occident is no longer simply integration. What is requested is assimilation. Under the concept of multiculturalism, it was assumed that a modern society is being built with building blocks which have different identities. Catholic, Protestant, Jewish, Muslim, atheist, Asian, European, African. And each one had his holiday, and one had his couscous, and the other his doner kebab, and the third one his curry. And this was considered enriching and colorful. Now, minorities, and that is, first of all, the Muslim one, but the other ones will have to follow, are being squeezed to identify with the majority culture. It's not enough to speak German as a Turk in Germany. No. Turks are now being asked to identify, to interiorize German values totally. It's not enough to say, I'm law-abiding, I respect the German Constitution. I respect the right of bills of rights. Excuse me. No. You are supposed to virtually sign a paper which says I distance myself from all the unconstitutional things that you find in the Quran. The funny thing is, it's not so funny now, that Christians and Jewish people have never been asked to do that. If you read the Bible, my goodness, how unconstitutional can this book be? If you read the letters of St. Paul, how appalling are his statements on women. No Christian has ever been asked to distance himself from that. It was enough that people were law-abiding citizens. But currently, we are under pressure to go beyond it, to assimilate, which would mean, of course, to disappear as an identifiable part of society. Something which did not happen in America since 11 September is that one asks why these terrorist attacks happened, what the purpose was. It is even politically incorrect in America to raise that question. You hear Americans say, why do they hate us so much? But this is no question. That's an outcry. No answer is expected. The attacks were called evil. Well, that's what they are. And war was declared against evil. And with an almost Manichaean vocabulary that usually we only got from Tehran before. The world was divided into the goodies and the baddies. And the United States took the lead of being the policeman to hunt down the baddies worldwide and even go into the re-education of Muslim children worldwide. It is now to be decided in Washington how they are to read the Quran. And the next stage will be that the Quran has to be purged, I imagine. When I was 18, I was invited to the United States for re-education. And the program was called HELP. Higher Education for Lasting Peace. At that time, one believed in America, since Germany has been beaten, there will be peace worldwide. They were the only baddies. 2 years later, Stalin was a major enemy, and the Korean War broke out very soon, and ever since we have had 153 wars. So it was naive. And again, I think America is in the danger of becoming naive in dealing with terrorism. Terrorism is a concept. Evil is a concept. You cannot fight concepts. You can only fight people or states or organizations. That has been done with the Taliban. That has been done with Al-Qaeda. But doesn't one perhaps create even more little bin Ladens that way? Allahu Akbar. There is a reason why in America the question of what happened why is not even asked. You recall perhaps that the Holocaust is another case where Americans are forbidden to ask why it happened, how it could happen, how historically this could come about. Because the Jewish lobby in America believes that if it is allowed to analyze the Holocaust in historical and other terms, that might imply a justification of what happened. To understand everything means to condone everything, is the argument. Now, I don't believe this is correct. You can understand how something happened and still condemn it totally. But what is more important is, if you don't understand what happened, you may risk that it repeats itself. Now, we are not talking about the Holocaust, we are talking about the World Trade Tower collapse. Why is one not allowed to ask, why did it happen? It's the same thing. The Zionist media